Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. I can't remember the last time that I was this excited for something to happen in mcoc. The champion that I've wanted most in the game for years now is finally coming to the game. ANTI-VENOM, look at him, look how cool he looks. So if you guys aren't familiar, I actually did my only champion concept video that I've ever done was for ANTI-VENOM a couple years ago. I've wanted him for a long time. I'm so pumped to finally see him come to the game. So today we're going to go through his champion spotlight, cover his abilities, point out a few things that I think will be useful for, and kind of how he's going to play and whatnot. So the basic idea behind his mechanics is that he's designed to be a lot like Venom, but with debuffs instead of buffs, given that he's a science champion. So I think you're going to see as we go through this that he has a lot of similarities to Void and Mr. Fantastic in kind of the way that his debuffs function, how you place the debuffs, what the debuffs do. So let's get right into that. Alright, so first off, he is immune to Incinerate and Poison. This is the same immunity that you get with like Red Hulk or Penny Parker, so you can use him on that hazard shift lane in war. This is like right out of the comics, I think. He has these two resistances, I guess, in the comics. So during opponent's special attacks, ANTI-VENOM gains a plus 40% defensive combat rate per debuff on the opponent. So he's really designed to block most specials instead of dexing them. And we'll get into another ability later that really like empowers this portion of his kit. So we'll get to that. All right, so genetic memory. Most symbiotes have something like this. So when the fight starts, ANTI-VENOM inflicts an indefinite Clintar debuff. So Venom has the Clintar buff, ANTI-VENOM has the Clintar debuff, and then if it's removed, it comes back after 15 seconds. So this debuff kind of feeds his other abilities. While the Clintar debuff is active on the opponent, for every 10 hits in the combo meter from either champion, ANTI-VENOM inflicts a genetic memory debuff from the list below, and then the maximum number of total debuffs that you can get is 4. So he has 3 different debuffs: Spectre, which reduces regen rate by 16 and a change, Disorient, which reduces ability accuracy and block proficiency, and then Decelerate, which is kind of like a portion of slow, which reduces evade and unstoppable by 33%. Unlike Void, the debuffs aren't random, and you can control which order they are applied in. So you can actually, you will always start the fight with Spectre loaded up, right? But if you do a medium, you can immediately change the debuff to the next one in the list. And then when you get to your 10th hit in your combo, that debuff is the one that will be placed. Another thing to point out here is that although the debuffs are capped at 4 total, the debuffs, you can stack them. So if you want to, you can stack 3 or 4 decelerates at the very start of the fight, or every 10 hits at the start of the fight. So you're not limited like you are with somebody like Void. Into just whatever the game chooses for you that's what you get. You have much more control over the utility, which is really nice. I feel like the Decelerate is going to be the most useful one, and we'll get into how you can actually increase the potency of these debuffs in a little bit here. So the Clintar debuff itself also has some effects. It actually increases physical vulnerability, this is a typo, by 525. And then for Spider-Verse heroes, it reduces the accuracy of evade effects by 100%. So this isn't a full shutdown of evade like Venom. It functions almost exactly like Red Goblin's evade. So the chance is 100%, which means that on lanes or nodes with an increase to evade ability accuracy, it is still possible for Spider-Verse champions to evade. And then the second thing here for Mystic champions, it reduces the ability accuracy of unblockable effects by 65%, and then at 30 hits in the combo meter, that chance is guaranteed at 100%. So this, I think, can be really useful for like a champion like mcoc. If he fires off that special 2 while he's in whatever hatred mode or whatever, it's unblockable. So you can turn that off and just block it safely. Maybe Dragon Man, if you get knocked down, he becomes unblockable. You can shut that off. Or just about any other Mystic on like an unblockable finale node, or an unblockable special node, he should shut that ability off completely. So looking forward to kind of seeing what kind of interactions we can play around with that. So his special attacks, SP1 Constituent Hammer. That sounds cool. So if not already active, gain an accelerated mutation passive, which causes Anti-Venom to inflict an additional genetic memory debuff for 15 seconds. And then it refreshes the evolved mutation passive, which we'll get to in just a couple minutes. So the special one inflicts a second copy of whatever debuff you have currently selected. So again, similarly to Void and Mr. Fantastic, you can stack debuffs to kind of increase the total potency of their effects. You also get a lengthy Petrify here. So the Petrify debuff is 40% for 20 seconds, and you can also stack this with multiple uses of the special attack 1. So between the Petrify and the Spectre debuff that you can apply, and the Despair Mastery, and maybe even like Mr. Fantastic's pre-fights, I think you'll have pretty quick access to what could end up being the most potent heal reversal in the game. And I'm really excited to kind of see how that works in practice. So, all right, the special attack 2. Again, this is kind of works a lot like Venom Special 2, so it's going to consume all of the genetic memory debuffs on the opponent and then gives you a Fury passive for each of them, gaining 1600 and change attack for 25 seconds. So these numbers are based on a 5-star rank 5 champion, so the number kind of looks like maybe 60 to 70% of your base attack, and there are ways to stack up your debuffs beyond the cap of 4 that you get at the beginning. So you can get a pretty significant amount of attack bonus here. All right, let's talk about the Special 3. So the Special 3 inflicts a Ruptured debuff, which deals a little bit of physical damage over 15 seconds. I don't think anybody is immune to Rupture yet, so we're kind of seeing it more and more with Science champions and a couple Mystic champions as well deal this debuff. But the most important part of this special attack is this other bullet point here. So you fire it off, you gain a non-stacking evolved mutation passive, which increases the max number of genetic memory debuffs by 4 and increases increases fury potency and duration by 25% for 25 seconds. And then the max stack for an individual debuff type is also 4. So by default, Anti-Venom's genetic memory cap is 4. So this essentially allows you to double your debuff cap. So you can refresh this passive with a special 1. So like in longer fights, you'll probably want to get to your special 3 first, build up your debuffs, and keep refreshing that passive with your special 1, and then fire off a special 2 close to like 3 bars of power to get 8 stacks of that fury, which should lead to a pretty nice attack bonus. So pretty looking forward to kind of seeing how this rotation plays out in an actual fight here. All right, his signature ability is called Controlled Symbiosis. Now I mentioned earlier that he gains increased power rate per debuff when blocking specials. So the signature ability allows him to recoup most of the damage of when doing so. So at max sig, he's going to recover 65% of non-critical hits. That includes hits into his block. So you're kind of you really want to block special attacks with him, and you're going to get so much power gain when you do that. That it's going to allow you to more easily get to your special attack 1 and refresh the passive, or get to your special 2, get the fury, etc., etc. So, blocking specials rather than dexing them is going to be, a faster way for you to kind of get yourself ramped up when you're playing him. And then the other part of his signature ability, his personal debuff potency is increased by 10% for every 10 hits in the combo meter from either champion, and then non-personal debuffs are increased by 5% for every 10 hits, and the effect caps at 50 hits. So, for his Clintar debuffs, you can get up to a 50% total bonus potency, but on the other hand, it kind of does take a non-insignificant amount of hits in your combo to get there. More interesting, I think, for me is that you can increase the potency of non-personal debuffs. So this should work on things like the Resonate Mastery. It should work on Mr. Fantastic's pre-fights, or any debuff that's applied from a hack in incursions. It feels like there are a lot of possibilities for making this work in your advantage in longer fights. And then the note here, so at 50 hits in your combo meter, ANTI-VENOM only needs one application of each debuff to get most of its utility, since each accelerated mutation, so the special one, will inflict 2 debuffs, each with 50% increased potency, which is the equivalent of 3 debuffs at normal potency. So, if you go back to like the Decelerate debuff here, once you're at 50 hits, every special one is going to give you a maximum, a 99% decelerate. So, again, not guaranteed, but, pretty good regardless. Kind of getting to 50 hits there. I'm not sure how practical that's going to be in like shorter to medium fights. We'll kind of have to see what his base damage looks like. So, all right, let's take a look at his synergies, last but not least. So he has one called Close Family with Venom and Carnage. This one doesn't really feel that useful at first glance. Symbiote opponents have the ability accuracy of their buffs reduced by 50%. Maybe for like a pesky Venom boss or like a Sim Supreme boss that could come in handy, but I don't really see that. Being that useful. And then Venom and Carnage, you get 15% of your max health regenerated when knocking out Spider-Verse heroes. Again, maybe useful in a couple very specific situations if you play Venom or Carnage quite a bit. Next one is called Time Travelers with Spider-Man 2099 and Doc Ock. So for Anti-Venom, for the first 10 seconds of the fight, the opponent cannot gain buffs. This, I think, could have some interesting applications, but having it only limited to like the first 10 seconds of the fight, that seems... I don't know. We'll have to see how it kind of functions, if there are any like good places where this might work. And then for Spider-Man 29, this is actually a pretty good one for him. So at the start of the fight, inflicts a Wither debuff, reducing ability power rate by 125% for 15 seconds. So this should actually make Spider-Man 2099's utility a lot easier to access. Especially if you take him against like a champion like Hyperion or Doctor Strange or anybody with like a passive power gain rate, this will keep the power gain inverted for a full 15 seconds, which is nice. Then for Doc Ock, when you deal damage via your heavy attack, removing those breakthroughs, you get a 25% chance per breakthrough to inflict another burst of damage, dealing your full attack rating. I think there's only 3 breakthroughs, so it maxes out at 75% chance. Probably not going to use that a lot if you're going to play Doc Ock. All right, next one is called Maybe Later. So this one is with Agent Venom. This is probably his best synergy. So for Anti-Venom, every time you inflict a debuff, a specific genetic memory debuff that is, you're going to deal a burst of 40% of your modified attack in physical damage. Unlike Void, this is a one-time damage burst rather than, constant damage over time. So I think that if you're going to be consuming the debuffs frequently with the special 2 and then reapplying them with your special 1, this could add up over time for sure. Also important to note that the 40% is of your modified attack. So this will scale with like attack boosts and champion boosts and any sort of attack modifier in like an incursion as well. And then for Agent Venom, gain 10% power anytime a debuff is purified. Okay, if he had a more reliable purify, this would probably be cool. Maybe if he gets buffed someday and that chance goes from whatever 60 or 70% that it is now up to 100, this would be much more useful. So, all right, second to last is countermeasures with Green Goblin. Clintar and genetic memory debuffs are not affected by AAR. It could be useful in like a niche encounter with like a domino or any fight where your ability accuracy is affected at the very start of the fight. Maybe here and there, we'll see. And then Green Goblin, you get an additional Incinerate equal to the amount of stacks of madness, but nobody plays Green Goblin, and nobody's going to be playing Green Goblin for the foreseeable future, so you're probably not going to be using this one either. Last but not least, we have one called Headache with Punisher. I'm not really that wild about having this synergy in the game because it's very difficult to obtain a 5 or even 6-star Punisher still. So I'm not really a fan of synergies with trophy champs. I feel like they could have done this with somebody else. So for Anti-Venom, you get a 30% potency of your Fear effects against villains. Not insignificant, could be pretty cool. And then Punisher gains 30% offensive ability accuracy against villains as well. So this will increase things like his bleeds and whatnot. There is also a synergy with Mr. Negative on the Mr. Negative side of the game, but we haven't been told what that synergy is yet. I'll probably put a screenshot of what it is on the screen. I can't remember what it is offhand, but as soon as we get the specific part of the synergy that affects Anti-Venom, I'll probably maybe put it in a pinned comment below. So yeah, overall, guys, I'm super excited about Anti-Venom. He looks very cool. He looks, I'm happy that he looks much more like an offensive damage champ rather than like a defender. That was like my worst nightmare, is that he was going to be a defender and basically useless on offense. So I'm happy to see that he's going to be an attacker. His abilities look cool. I think he has a lot of potential for damage in the right scenario, the right rotation. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you as excited for Anti-Venom as I am? Please let me know. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button for me. I would appreciate it. And if you aren't subbed, please take a moment to do so. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.